Spider-Man has a lot of alternate costumes from over the years, to the point where his endless arsenal of suits has become something people are incredibly passionate about. Whether that be the selection of suits in the games, or which ones show up in the films, many of Spider-Man's different looks have become iconic, and for a good reason. But you always hear people talk about ones like the Iron Spider, the Scarlet Spider, the Black Suit, and many others. But today I want to talk about the ones that don't get as much attention, and hopefully shed some light on some costumes you may not have given the time of day. Some of these are quite obscure, and some you already know. So let's take a look at some Spider-Man suits that nobody talks about. First, I want to talk about the Beyond suit. I think this suit is criminally underrated, and it's recently become one of my favorite alternate looks for Ben Reilly. While the comic story itself may be booty-ass trash, the Beyond costume is not. This suit takes the classic suit and does a lot of cool things with it, like giving it a spider that not only sprawls off into the blue sections, but is slightly off-center. I know that this bothers literally everybody, but I don't mind. Would I prefer if it were centered? Yes, I would, but I'm fine with how it is. It was a very ambitious choice to do that in the first place, and I think it worked out pretty decently. Another thing I really like is the hand patches. You normally never see this element anywhere but the black suit, however it works really nicely here. See, I have kind of a rule with hand patches, at least for the black suit. They have to be less of a rectangle and more of a trapezoid for me. It kind of frames the wrist and I find it much more appealing than the rectangle. That's how it was done in the books too, so I don't know what it was that prompted everybody to think it was just a flat rectangle. Back on topic. The hand patches may be rectangles, but it actually looks really good on this suit. It might be the web pattern that helps to shape it, but the hand patches are really good. Now I want to talk about a costume that I have literally never heard of at all until just a few weeks ago. One time I made a community post asking my audience if there's any Spidey suits they think are underrated, and I included a picture of this very obscure suit. Most people reacted quite harshly to it for the most part, and that surprised me because I really like this suit. It has good color balancing, good logos and lenses, and an interesting design. This is supposed to be some kind of X-Men Spider-Man suit, and it works in some of the elements of the X-Men costumes, like the color palette. The colors in this suit are really good. On paper, I wouldn't be too into it at all, but in execution, it's super cool. I love the red web wings, the red accents in the heels and wrists, and I really like the logo that wraps around to the back. It's something we've seen 100 times, but it never really gets old. Overall, I think this is a really nice design, and I would love to see it in a game or something. Now let's talk about one of Spidey's more recent costumes. This is Spider-Man's Doom suit from the 8 Deaths of Spider-Man. It's a recolored classic suit with a scarf thrown on top. This is another costume that I would despise on paper, but in execution it looks super great. A gray and red classic suit is not something I would normally find appealing, but the way it was handled looks really nice. The scarf is fantastic as well, it really brings the whole thing together. The green logo was a really unique choice, and the armored look of the suit is very appealing. There's not much I can say about this suit since it's very similar to the original, but it's still good nonetheless, and I'm glad that it exists. Kane's Scarlet Spider suit is a relatively well-known costume, but I never hear anybody talk about the design of it. I love red on black, but not exactly black on red. However, this suit does that pretty well, and it's the only one with this color balancing that I think looks really good. I wonder how it would look if it were reversed though. The lenses are nice and big, the black covers a decent space, and the logo looks like some kind of knife. It's really cool, however, I'm not a fan of how the black only covers the shoulders, head, and wrists. It's decent, but I wish that there was some black on the feet too. Maybe this could be fixed by giving it some black boots and gloves. Maybe I would even give it a belt. But I'm not the designer of this suit. Whoever is did a good job. It's not the best of all time or anything, but it's really badass and stands out against a lot of Spider-Man suits. Now let's move into Parker Industries. This story is pretty interesting for flipping Spider-Man on its head. What if, instead of being a broke teenager, Peter owned a billion-dollar company and was rich and powerful? This story shows us what that would look like. And the high-tech suit Peter has here in this era has become one of my favorite looks for the wall color. Right off the bat, it's very similar to the classic suit, but there are a lot of things that set it apart. The first thing you'll notice about this costume is that it has glowing emblems and eyes. This is something I really love. It accents the color palette so well. The thing is, it only looks good sometimes. You see, oftentimes this costume will be colored with a much lighter shade of blue and with green glows instead of blue. This completely screws up the color palette and throws everything out of whack. I don't enjoy that version as much. For me, this suit is at its best when its blue is dark but still a vibrant shade, almost looking purple, while the glowing elements adopt a light blue hue. That is when this costume shines. Literally. This suit isn't your traditional Spidey costume, it's actually armor. which I don't really have a problem with, because it means the suit gets to be really shiny. The web pattern is also very different from anything we usually see in a Spidey suit, and it looks very nice. Very angular. Overall, I really love this one, and I think it needs a lot more representation. Too bad the game didn't do it justice. Speaking of Spider-Man PS4, the Resilient suit has recently become one I've fallen in love with. Its shiny exterior, light shade of blue, and white elements make this a beautiful costume. It's a shame that it wasn't in Spider-Man 2. The logo work is excellent. The web pattern is really nice, the colors steal the show, and the Gabriel Delato lenses look stunning. This suit has fantastic color balancing too. The white elements spread across the suit in a very satisfying way, as well as the white webbing. The shade of blue is a little bit washed out at times, but so is everything else in the suit, so it kind of fits by leaning into that slightly darker aesthetic. All in all, its costume is excellent, and I really like it. For the final suit on this list, I am 90% sure you've never heard of it before, because before this video, I didn't either. It was only until I started researching for this video that I came across the Millennial Vision suit. This suit is probably the most obscure pick on this list, as it has a very strange design. With a peculiar upside down spider that has the bottom legs trailing across the arms, to having little eye shapes on the hands and feet, this suit is incredibly bizarre. I could only find 2 photos documenting this suit, leading me to believe it doesn't show up for very long. It definitely looks interesting. Dare I say I like it. But if you thought this was way too weird, I wouldn't blame you. It reminds me more of the 2099 suit than anything else, with its black and red color palette. There's honestly not too much to say about this one, since there's not that many images of it out there. I don't even know what the back looks like. But from what we do get, this suit is kinda cool. Definitely a very unique one. Very unorthodox, but still cool. Hopefully this video could give you some knowledge on some costumes you may have never seen before or never given the time of day. I definitely appreciate some of the suits in this list a lot more than I did before. And this isn't even where it ends. There are so many obscure Spider-Man suits out there that I didn't touch on today. So if you want to see some of those, let me know. Take care and have a super blessed day.